And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show, always helping you win in any marketplace. We do that by interviewing all of the best expert contributors. We talk about business owners, local area CPAs, financial advisors, several different attorneys associated with the program. So reach out if you need any advice, any contacts in the area of business. We have lots of folks on that real estate wheel, that mortgage, credit, finance, home services providers, great home service providers, technology experts, self-defense experts. We really have a great lineup, and our net worth is our network. So we'd love to help you win in any marketplace, as we say. And I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, part of a Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty, Sports and Entertainment Division for Keller Williams Luxury Division and Commercial Division as well. And you can download this show, in case you miss us, on iTunes, Spotify, as well as YouTube. You can see all of our content there from previous shows. And we got a great lineup. We got attorney Carmika Rubin coming in the program. We're going to talk about foreclosure and some of the issues happening with investment properties, foreclosures, and what are some options for homeowners that are facing foreclosure. We also have Justin Kelly's president and CEO of CPF Mortgage, CPFloans.com. Justin's in studio here today. We're going to talk about generation rent. How is generation rent approaching home buying in 2022? So interesting content that he's brought for us here on the show relating to Millennials and Gen Z and how rising rents are affecting them getting into the home ownership game. So we're going to jump into that. Before we do, we always like to plug our top listings here. We've got a $10 million listing from the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty, 530 Heaton Forest Road. Now, this one's in North Carolina, so we're looking for our executives, our VIPs, folks that might be looking for an amazing North Carolina home in the mountains. 8,000 square feet, 20-acre property, magnificent country estate in the mountains of western North Carolina. This home features breakfast porch, patio, 4 fireplaces for those cool mountain evenings, attached 2-car garage, 2-car carport. You got an expansive stone driveway. Guest house has 3 bedrooms as well as a sitting room, and it's just a gorgeous estate. Beautiful property at 530 Heaton Forest Road, Cashiers, North Carolina. 8,000 square foot estate style home. Gorgeous property up in the mountains of North Carolina. Also, it's part of a golfing community. $100,000 gets you your golfing, your annual golfing there for High Hampton Golf Course up in that beautiful area in the Carolinas. All of our listings, you can see all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
And a quick shout out to Replenish IV Solutions. I love going in and visiting with Stephen and Lisa Gunnan and the great nursing staff over there at Replenish IV Solutions. Plug me up. They get me hooked up with a vitamin infusion drip going directly into the bloodstream. I go at least once every 3 to 4 weeks. And especially for those great, sometimes when you're on the couch, you just feel like you're staying at home, they'll deliver it directly to you. Replenish IV Solutions. Make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, we got Justin Kelly in the house. Justin Kelly, welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Yeah, my pleasure. Great content lined up for today. Let's jump right into it. So this is a pretty interesting article that you brought in, Generation Rent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's basically saying that the cohort is one of the largest buyers in the marketplace in 2022. Rising rents are driving them to look at home ownership a little closer. And we feel that that's a good market position to be in, especially we've got a shifting market happening right now. A lot of people are concerned. We've had, a really difficult time with inventory. We've had a tough time with buyers qualifying. Rising interest rates have, contributed to maybe relaxing a little bit on that and allowing some more inventory to come on the marketplace, giving, some buyers some opportunities. So yeah, that'll help this segment of the market, our millennials and Gen Zs.
Absolutely. We are seeing that shift. And I kind of explain it like this. If you're looking at a pendulum that swings, it swung all the way to the top.
Absolutely.
And that was probably about 6 months ago where you had those 20, 30 offers coming in on most listings. And now it's starting to swing back down a little bit. But it's not doom and gloom. It's not doom and gloom. It's still a good market.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And, just to define millennial and Gen Z. So right now in 2022, millennials are age 25 to 40. And Gen Zs are 10 to 25 years old. Okay. So obviously the ones in Gen Z are being measured from 18 to 25.
Right.
But, the rising rents is what's driving them. They're saying, hey, listen, as I start comparing this increasing rent that I'm getting hit with, inflationary concerns all over the place, It's hitting rent big time. They're looking and saying, well, what can I do with a mortgage loan? And historically, rates are still really low. So for a new entrant into the marketplace, so long as there's inventory, I think we're gonna see a lot of demand for real estate from millennials and Gen Zs.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking with Justin Kelly here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, CPF Mortgage, right here in Tampa Bay, located in Tampa Bay. We always talk about supporting that local economy by supporting our show, the local expert contributors that we bring on the show every day to combat that negativity in the mainstream media and some of the misinformation that you see out there. So, yeah, rising rents. Rents have been rising since like 2013. Yeah. I remember when I first started my show doing a story about Harvard coming out with a study about rents are rising. And the thing about rents is they're sticky. Once they get high, once they go up to that higher price point, they're most likely not going to come down.
Right. Yeah. And that goes for most goods and services. Like, once you're used to paying a certain price point, that's how over the years things start getting more and more expensive. And you have your dad going, I used to spend a nickel for a gallon of milk. Well, that's just not the case anymore, right? Because we got used to it, and price increases happen, and so
that's right.
We have to adjust to it and continue on.
So you got millennials and Gen Zs make up the largest cohort of potential home buyers today, the majority of which are first-time buyers bullish to get a foot on the property ladder. As market volume dips, pent-up demand builds, 61% of millennials and Gen Zs who intend to buy a home plan to apply for a mortgage this year. So that's good news.
Great news. And we're seeing that. That's coming through in our numbers with applications, our average age. We're paying attention to this data, and this kind of backs up what we're seeing. Some of the barriers of entry have been, the things that we hear from millennials and Gen Z is, the mortgage process from the research we've done is outdated. It's confusing. It's expensive. I feel like it might be inaccessible for me. And so you have to spend a lot of time giving information and educating. Yeah. And, a lot of the education that this segment of the market is, they're getting it from social media, right. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. So, being able to provide good content consistently on those, on those streams, I think is important. And something we're going to focus on at CPF Mortgage.
I love the idea also of bringing in some of these ideas to folks like that, especially like down payment assistance programs. There's certain thresholds too where you have to meet as far as an income level. But a lot of the different municipalities could be, City of Largo or Pasco County or downtown Tampa, different municipalities. If you research that and you spend some time on the web and go into their websites, you can find these programs, down payment assistance, there's SHIP programs. I remember doing a deal for one of my family members years ago when I was a mortgage broker, and it was years ago, and I believe it was like $45,000 of free money basically that he qualified for. He could get. He was actually a fireman, so he had that kind of money as well. And part of it was I believe the SHIP program. So it was like 21 area, 25 the other. But that's $45,000 of free money that they didn't have to pay back, given that you don't move within the first 5 years or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions on some of the older programs and down payment assistance that's out there, and so obviously the best way to go about it is save for your down payment and make your own down payment. That way you're not having to worry about qualifying under income restrictions, area restrictions, or things like that for certain down payment assistance. But it can be helpful in certain circumstances. Definitely, we always say make sure you understand the product, the program, what you're getting into, and what the requirements are to either pay back and or potentially we've seen some situations where you're agreeing to give up portions of equity for the program that you're participating in. So just always read that carefully. Consult a mortgage professional, independent mortgage broker. they tend to have the best products, programs, and options for buyers.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I like number 4 here on the list. He said they crave a digital experience, going back to millennials and Gen Zs. They crave a digital experience and personal service, 78%.
Crazy, right? Because all you ever hear is, the mortgage process and real estate is going to go to digital only because that's what, millennials and Gen Zs want. And, after you see this data here, yes, they do. They crave a digital experience to make it easy for application purposes, uploading their documents. However, they want a professional to speak to. They need somebody to guide them through the process because there's a lot of moving parts, as you know, to this entire process. And, it takes several professionals to wrap a deal up and make sure it goes smoothly. And so I think this cohort of individuals is realizing that as they start their journey in home buying. And, this is a good thing.
And that's what I say sometimes when I'm talking to for sale by owners. I do a fair amount of prospecting, et cetera, phone prospecting. And when I talk to for sale by owners, FSBOs, I say, look, a lot of times they have this feeling that they can put a sign in the ground and find a buyer. I said, it's hit or miss. It may or not be true. Only 7 to 8% of all for sale by owners actually sell. That's a National Association of Realtors statistic. And of that 7 to 8 that do sell, 50% sell to a friend or family member. Yeah. That non-arm's length transaction. But the other key thing to think about with a real estate transaction, 2/3 of every real estate deal that from origination to close, 2/3 do not close at the same terms, price, of repairs, et cetera, at the same terms than they actually initiated at. So a lot of what we do as mortgage professionals, real estate professionals, is keeping those deals intact, knowing how to navigate those different hurdles that come with inspections, appraisals, et cetera.
Could not agree with you more. And in the last month, I would say we've seen some FSBOs come through, and it's always the same thing, right? They they got us on the mortgage side, and we're qualifying buyer, and then it comes time for the contract to be written. Right? Yeah. And then they're looking to us and we're like, no, we're not licensed real estate agents.
Right.
We can't write a contract for you. That's something you guys would have to seek, legal advice for, contact an attorney, maybe contact a realtor, see if they can get involved. And they're always trying to skate around and try to save a few dollars when really it's significantly important to have a professional on the mortgage side and the real estate side.
Yeah, and a lot of times they say, well, I'll get my attorney to draw up the contract. I said, right, okay. So the attorney knows the legal side, but is he an expert negotiator? Does he know how to negotiate these terms? Does he know how to take it from point A all the way down to point Z through the different processes? Probably not. And is he going to have time to do that? Probably not again. So that's all the other reasons why you really need to have a real estate agent. And again, the other stat with for sale by owners is that I forgot the exact specific, but a large percentage of those sell under market value. Yeah. They just don't know what the values are.
Right. Yeah. I mean, assessing your value is, it's critical, right? And so, we always at CPF Mortgage, we always try to provide tools and resources for people to, have a good grasp on what is my value. So we have a tool on our website, cpfloans.com, where you can actually check your home value. Yeah. And you get a report with that stuff. So that kind of gives a leg up to, market participants out there to help them.
That's awesome. Yeah, so if you're renting out there, thinking about selling, reach out. We'd love to talk to you, put you in touch with Justin Kelly. If you want to get pre-approval, 813-917-1894. Just call the text line, 813-917-1894. That's the hotline you can call or text. Also, you can send an email, brimes@kw.com, brimes@kw.com. We're going to take a quick break. Coming back more with Justin Kelly, CPF Mortgage. And our feel-good story of the day is awesome. Drones are collecting tons of plastic waste before it reaches the ocean. We'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, in studio with Martin Automatica, that is, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer Super Bowl winner. Lifeguard Imaging, lifeguardimaging.com, saving lives through early detection.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. Yes, that's what we're doing at Lifeguard Imaging. You come in asymptomatic, and that's what we do. You're being proactive. You're coming in. We do a scan from the neck to the pelvis. It's a full body scan. It's a 3D image of every organ, and that's where 90% of the deadliest cancers are, in our mid-region. So we can see everything. But for your listeners, we have a real good special. We have a $599 value you, absolutely complimentary. They can come in for a coronary artery scan, which will give you their calcium score, 100% complimentary for your people.
Very cool. Hey, take them up on that offer, 813-917-1894. Call or text, complimentary scan, 813-917-1894, and check them out online, lifeguardimaging.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
Have you desired more income and more freedom in your life? Now is your time. Keller Williams Realty has just launched our own real estate school, and you can get licensed for free. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And for the first 3 people who reach out, I will personally coach you. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here. Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty, helping you win. brhymes at kw.com. Any of your questions, please shoot it over to brhymes at kw.com, and we'll put you in touch with Justin Kelly as well. He's the president, CEO, CPF Mortgage, local lender right here in Tampa Bay. Support the local economy. Support a great lender here locally, and stay away from those big woke banks. You know, you get looking at BOA, Wells Fargo. Look at some of these big companies. Research their history. Do your own research. You know, if you have a banking relationship with them, that's one thing. But when you look at what these guys are doing, taking the bailout money, some of the stuff they're doing with ESG scores, but basically forcing this woke culture through the banking system, you got to be an informed consumer. Work with a local area lender that specifically focuses on mortgage. We're talking about CPF Mortgage here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Before we do, I want to let you know about a hot listing, 2803 Safe Harbor Drive in Tampa. This is $1 million listing of ours. Beautiful property right here in Tampa Bay, 2803 Safe Harbor Drive in Tampa. Gated community, 5,200 square feet, 5 bathrooms. You got a gorgeous estate-style home right here in beautiful Tampa Bay in the Carrollwood area. The estate's at White Trout Lake. Spiral staircase up to the 2nd floor. You also have a private elevator, large master suite, granite countertops, new appliances, pool, heated spa, fenced-in yard, as well as a beautiful pool and spa back there. 2803 Safe Harbor Drive in Tampa. And you can see all of our real estate listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com.
Buy dirt, find one you can't live without.
And we do have lots of vacant land listings as well. Got about half a dozen to a dozen or so, 8 to 12 probably, vacant land listings. So just went under contract on that $4.5 million listing as well that we just listed. 15 acres up off of I-75 and Fowler Avenue development play. Really awesome. I'm glad to go under contract so quickly on that property. That was awesome. But we got Justin Kelly in the house. Justin, what else are you seeing? I mean, I love this story that you brought in today. What are some of the biggest misnomers that you see?
You know, in this cohort, this millennial Gen Z, you know, some of the biggest things we hear, and this data backs it up, is, you know, I don't have enough money for down payment. My credit score is only 670. I won't qualify. I have too much debt. I'm carrying student loan debt. There's no way I make enough money. And just overall, like, they don't have enough knowledge to feel comfortable with the, you know, moving forward with something. So, you know, we field a lot of these phone calls and you know, try to give really, really solid information back to people, because down payment concerns, right? You can get into a home for as little as 3% down, depending on the product and program you're looking at.
Get gift funds too, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You can get gift funds. You can work with family members to help you do that, and so there's lots of outs. You can also structure a deal with a real estate agent to get some seller concessions, help you cover some closing costs. That hasn't been something we've seen recently in the last year or so with the hot market the way it is, but we're starting to see that come back now.
We're open to that. If you price it up, just price it build it into the price. We're open to that a lot of times.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing is realtor rebate too. If you get a friend or a realtor that's willing to work with you, maybe they throw $500,000 back to you at closing.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we'll run, some products and programs where we'll give a rebate back. We'll run a special for 30 days where we'll credit an appraisal fee back, $500.
Yeah.
And if you close within a certain period of time, so we always try to help every which way we can with that respect. But bringing back the knowledge, I think to this age group is going to be critical. And like I said, where they look is, those social media platforms. And so, getting that content built out, making it attainable for them and so they can see it, regularly and get good quality content and information, I think is going to be critical, for this age group, coming into 2022 at the end, trying to purchase a home and hopefully we can capture that and help them do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Helping people get into home ownership. The American dream, man. The American dream is under attack right now, just like our Second Amendment's under attack and some others. The American dream, I believe, is under attack, especially through these big companies, these big hedge funds like BlackRock. You got Vanguard. Some of these big name companies dealing with these ESG scores from the federal government. And what happens is these companies pull all these assets and this money, unprecedented amounts of money, by the way. We've got $6 trillion. Don't forget, $6 trillion with a T of new dollars in circulation over the last 24 months. So what's happening is that money's flowing, and it's flowing to the cronies around Washington, D.C. Larry Fink, BlackRock, some of these big companies, and they're coming in and they're competing with the veterans, Justin. This is what I hate. The veterans, the first-time buyers, the people that want to get into a home. John and Susie, who just graduated from college and they're looking to buy their first new home together. Now they have to compete with these, to me, we talk about capitalism, as Americans, we talk about free markets. That's not a free market, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we've seen it in the last few years. It's prevalent, right? Buyers are competing with these large hedge funds that are, private equity, where they're hedge funds, and they're purchasing these properties. And a lot of times in the last few years, you've looked at it and say, how are they paying that for that property?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. They're overpaying. But, they've got data and they've got, the ability to step into a marketplace and really have some control over that market.
And that's one of 1,000 units they'll do that month, right?
Exactly.
Maybe 1,000 units in the southeast. Maybe they're doing 1,100 units in the northeast or whatever. They have their different buying blocks, right? And they'll start off with 3-2. Oh, we're only buying 3-2 block homes, 1,800 square feet or larger. And then as it gets more competitive, they say, oh, okay, fine, we'll drop to 2-2s now. We'll buy 2-2s in that area. And so that's what they do. They buy it. It's all, and it's taking that. To me, it's taking that again, attack of the American dream. It's taking that home ownership out of the American hands, and then what's it doing? It's forcing us to be renters. Yeah. And then when we turn into renters, what happens is you have less love for the property, the community, the neighborhood. It's a tragedy of the commons, especially in the big cities, the inner cities. You see like the ghetto, and you see these big buildings, and it's full of people that don't have a tie to the community. They don't care as much. But as a homeowner, when you own it, you love it. You care. You put the picket fence and you put your rose bushes, and your family's going to live there. The kids are playing in the backyard. Home ownership is no joke, and it's under attack in America with the current regime we have. Justin, about a minute left. Back to you, man. How do you want folks to connect with you, and what's your final thought?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back to millennials and Gen Z, they're craving that digital experience and the personal touch as well. We've made our technology so easy, and it doesn't matter what age group you're in, right? You can go right to our application portal, cpfloans.com. You can click on Apply Now, and it will literally walk you through step by step, filling out the application, take you 10, 15 minutes. You're able to upload documents, drag them and drop them.
Nice.
Securely. It automatically notifies our team, and our validation team goes to work for you. That's the important part, right? They want certainty. They want a professional giving them advice. Well, our team's going to go in there, validate their income, look at their assets, review their credit. That way, when they get a pre-approval letter, they can go out with confidence and purchase a home.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Good stuff. Highly recommend Justin Kelly, CPF Mortgage President and CEO, local lender. Support the local economy right here in Tampa Bay. Reach out to the hotline as well, 813-917-1894. You can call or text 813-917-1894. And Justin, thanks again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And we'll be right back with attorney Carmika Rubin here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Five, four, three, two, one.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Big shout out to all those that reach out and engage with us as well. Text, calls. We're getting all kinds of contacts from the show. We greatly appreciate all of you that listen and engage with us and support our local expert contributors by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show. brimes@kw.com. You can submit an email right there at brimes@kw.com. RIMES is the spelling on that. And we like to feature our listings here on the properties on the show. 27641 Lincoln Place in Wesley Chapel. This is a gorgeous estate-style home that we have listed. It's 3.24 acres up in Pasco County, Wesley Chapel. This is a gorgeous home. And I just love the area. Saddlewood Estates, air-conditioned 3-car garage, over 3,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 4 bath, 3.25 acre lot. You got a beautiful screened-in pool, Lanai, minutes from the Grove, Tampa Premium Outlets, Wiregrass Mall. Great floor plan. Beautiful property. 27641 Lincoln Place, Wesley Chapel. One of our hot real estate listings from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. 507 South Prospect Avenue is a Clearwater location, commercial building in Clearwater, just off of Gulf to Bay. A beautiful property, close to downtown, close to the beaches. 12 rooms. You got 2 bathrooms as well, 2,600 square feet. 2-story office space right here in beautiful Tampa Bay, Clearwater, close to downtown. Got a new roof, new AC, 10 minutes from the beach. 507 South Prospect Avenue in Clearwater. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet.
And a quick shout out to Discovery Golf Cars right here in Tampa Bay, discoverygolfcars.com. Talk to Ethan, talk to Marty, let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Seems like everybody's getting a Easy Go or a Star EV, a Cushman. They also have new and pre-owned golf cars available. Discovery Golf Cars. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, going to the phone lines here. We got attorney Carmika Rubin on the show today. Welcome back, Carmika.
Hello. Glad to be back with you.
Excellent. Let's jump right into it. I love the content you bring to the show. It's always informational and just kind of educational as well. RubinsLaw.com. We're talking with attorney Carmika Rubin. We're going to talk about foreclosure today. Foreclosures are interesting. It's kind of like there's cycles to everything in life, right? And foreclosures sometimes will be in an uptick, and with people seeing an uptick in inflation and everything's costing more. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, we're not going to have a lot of foreclosure activity, but it seems like that may be on the horizon for us.
Oh yeah, and it's an unfortunate truth. But one thing I say that we're going to be ready. If there's any legal guidance needed, questions, that's what attorneys are here for, to guide you through that process, to let you know what your options are in this uncertain time again.
So what are some of the options if people want to avoid foreclosure?
So if you want to avoid foreclosure, one, the most obvious is paying your mortgage on time. But if you're not able to because of the increased prices on everything, and it's like, oh my gosh, I need other options. Some lenders do not even put you into their pre-foreclosure classification until you're 90 days behind. So I've often told clients, don't let the 90 days get you. You need to at least make the payments every other month, every 8 weeks. It may tap your credit, but it could prevent a foreclosure lawsuit, because once that 90 days delinquency is there, now they're pushing you to their attorney and definitely looking for a foreclosure lawsuit.
Yeah, and that's what you see. We sometimes call these pre-foreclosure leads. These are leads that are, headed to foreclosure, may or may not have a list pendants filed, and we call and we offer, assistance and ways that we can, provide options. Sometimes buyers will make, wholesale offers, buy their property cash, rent it back to them. There's a lot of different scenarios, but when you get to, like you said, 90 to 120 days, that's where you're going to see that initial, what they call the list pendants file. Is that right, Carmika?
So the list pendants will come after you have defaulted on your promissory note. And once that list pendants is filed, now you are lawsuit ready, because that's filed to give public notice that there's a lawsuit accompanying this list pendants. But if you're, you mentioned some options, which are really, really great if people are trying to keep the home before the lawsuit is filed.
Right.
So I like the listeners to kind of understand the difference of when I say foreclosure and when their lender says foreclosure. So as an attorney, when you get that case number established, now we're talking foreclosure. But with the lender, you can do all types of creative things before that case number with the circuit court has been established. So they call it foreclosure. I call it pre-foreclosure. But as you stated, that lives pendants, once that is hot, rocking, and recorded, you are in for the legal battle.
Right. And it's going to continue to add up. You're going to have interest adding up, and it's just going to turn into an ugly picture from there. We're talking with attorney Carmika Rubin here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. And can a lender force foreclosure on my homestead property?
So, one of the things that was mentioned earlier that you kind of stated in regards to options, if this is your investment property, do what you want to do. You can get creative, sell it. But if it's your homestead, keep in mind that the homestead exemption is just that. It's a tax exemption based on your primary home that you reside in for the majority time of the year. And yes, depending on the type of foreclosure, they can foreclose on your homestead. And when I say they, let me just define it. If we're talking about the person who you have your first mortgage with, your second mortgage with, if you have HOA fees or assessment fees that are outstanding, they can foreclose. If you have a tax lien because you've not taken care of your taxes and now the years have passed, they can foreclose on you. So there are certain people that can. If you have an outstanding judgment, then no, they can't foreclose on your homestead, but their investment property, they can definitely look at trying to liquidate that to take care of that garnishment or that particular final judgment.
Right. Yeah. So homestead gives you some protections. However, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is how these homeowners associations, even if you think, oh, well, that's just a $200 a month payment or $300 a month payment. If those get in arrears, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, those can turn into a lawsuit pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I remember early 2010 type frame, not as many HOAs or the associations were filing for foreclosure. Remember, that was the time when the market was just terrible and a lot of it's like the crash that occurred.
Yep.
And the HOAs were like, we're not getting our money. And then the banks were like, well, we're not getting our money. But there were some lenders who were not quick to file foreclosures. So the HOAs were like, we're going to turn to the Florida statute. And if you banks don't wake up, we're going to wake up because we do want our assessment fees. And it does add up. You can sit back and 1 year, because I've seen some 2-3 years for, because the amount to them appears to be small, but there's no protection. Because you have that mortgage doesn't mean you don't have to pay your HOA fees.
Right. Yeah, and that's a challenge when you get, you start eating into the reserves, and then it's all like, wow, how do we fund the common area maintenance, et cetera? Now, when you have a property like that, if you have an HOA that's behind, you also have the mortgage that's in foreclosure, and let's say the HOA forecloses faster than the mortgage company does, it gets a little bit tricky there depending on who has the superior lien, right?
Oh, my goodness. It gets way tricky. There are so many people, so many investors who were disappointed, upset, angered because they didn't do their due diligence. They thought, well, I'm going to buy this condo because the person didn't pay their HOA fees for, let's say, $20,000.
Yep.
And they're like, look at what I got for $20,000, not realizing that the mortgage that's in first position is superior.
Yes.
They may not have exercised that position in court, but it's right there. So some investors, if they are favored enough, if they're lucky enough, the lender may work with them on satisfying that outstanding mortgage. But most are like, no, you got to get the previous homeowner to come in to give permission because, in essence, that's their loan. That's that previous homeowner's loan, and you can't just have access to it because you bought the property. So it gets tricky. It gets murky. People get upset because they're like, I thought it was a done deal when the clerk of the court gave me my certificate of title showing I'm the owner. Yes, you're the owner to a property that has a mortgage lien.
Yeah, it definitely is some interesting scenarios that play out. And I remember back in the day, too, they would try to take a lot of these lenders to the court and make them prove that the mortgage and the note got, basically they would claim, well, the mortgage and the note got bifurcated, meaning one went one way, one went to the other place, and they can't find it. And if they can't produce that, then their theory is, therefore, I own my property outright. I know there were some cases brought to that. I didn't really see, exactly how those ended up. But do you remember hearing something about that? Those people challenge that, and I think the judges were nervous about it because if they did set a precedent like that, then more and more people would challenge these types of mortgage company type situations.
Yeah, and not only did I hear about it, I have clients right now where the original note was not produced. That's the theory that we go off in court.
Yep.
And really, it's the law. You must produce the original note, or you have to file a certain affidavit that's alleging with specificity that the note was lost. So I have clients now. One client, for 6 years, they had no one to pay. Who they thought had the loan couldn't find the records. Wow. And then I have another client that they couldn't find the original note, and without those elements, you do own your right, but as far as that lien, as far as enforcing the lien with the Florida statute under the foreclosure, so they can't force the sale. But what I told my clients in those situations is if they can't force a court sale through foreclosure, it doesn't erase the lien. So if you ever try to sell it, that lien is still attached to the property. They just can't force a foreclosure auction sale.
Wow.
So you own it, but what about that lien? The lien is there to either force a foreclosure to make you sell it to satisfy the balance, or it's on there that if you ever try to sell it, then they'll be compensated.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a property you always want to keep then and put that make that a rental if you're moving out. Keep that one as a rental. Don't let that one, don't let that one leave the family. But
exactly.
Yeah, pass it down.
That's my word.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to ask you how do trust work, or Carmika? How can a trust keep a lender from foreclosing, etc.? What kind of protections do you have in a trust? We're talking with attorney Carmika Rubin here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Law offices of KV Rubin, PA, RubinsLaw.com. That's RUBINS Law.com. Plus our feel-good story of the day. Drones are collecting tons of plastic waste before it reaches the ocean. We'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, in studio with Martine Gramatica, that is, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer Super Bowl winner. Lifeguard Imaging, lifeguardimaging.com, saving lives through early detection.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. Yes, that's what we're doing at Lifeguard Imaging. You come in asymptomatic, and that's what we do. You're being proactive. You're coming in. We do a scan from the neck to the pelvis. It's a full body scan. It's a 3D image of every organ, and that's where 90% of the deadliest cancers are, in our mid-region. So we can see everything. But for your listeners, we have a real good special. We have a $599 value, absolutely complimentary. They can come in for a coronary artery scan, which will give you their calcium score, 100% complimentary for your people.
Very cool. Hey, take them up on that offer, 813-917-1894. Call or text, complimentary scan, 813-917-1894, and check them out online, lifeguardimaging.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here. Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty, always telling you something positive here on our show.
Tell me something good.
All right, in a fight against the plastic pollution, new drone offers intelligent tool for cleaning water in lakes, ponds, marinas, rivers, and more. Where the eco-friendly robot can devour plastic pollution before it spills into the ocean. Rand Marine's technology Waste Shark is a drone that swims rather than flies. It collects litter, biomass, plastics, microplastics, and other debris using a basket underneath the autonomous vehicle. The Waste Shark can roam for up to 8 hours on a single charge and holds up to 43 gallons of trash. It's programmed with GPS points to ensure it covers the hot spots where waste gathers, and its path can be programmed and monitored remotely. In addition to removing trash, sensors on the drone, data collection on water temperatures, pH levels, depth, green algae, or oily hydrocarbons. So it goes on to say, the article goes on to say 300 million tons of plastic are produced every year and for use in a wide variety of applications. At least 14 million tons of plastic end up in the ocean every year, and plastics make up 80% of all marine debris found from surface waters to deep sea sediments. And that's our feel-good story of the day. Drones collecting tons of plastic waste before it reaches the oceans. All right, we got attorney Carmika Rubin here. Now, so Carmika, I wanted to ask you, what protections, if any, does a trust give, homeowners or people that are, owning assets?
So, trusts are very interesting, especially in the state of Florida. There's different types of trusts. There's the revocable, the kind you can change your mind about. There's irrevocable, the kinds you cannot change your mind about. It just has to kind of go through the flow of the purpose of establishing the trust or creating the trust. But my favorite that I have ran into is the land trust. And for investors and even homeowners, that is one of the best options that I've seen in the Florida statute that gives you ultimate protection. However, if there is a lien, a mortgage lien on your property or a vendor's lien on your property where you secured that debt with the sale of this property, then even the trust cannot prevent a foreclosure. Now, what it can do, it can prevent an individual from being sued for whatever that deficiency judgment is. If it's found that, hey, whoever signed this promissory note need to satisfy this. If they can't, then we're going to sell it at a foreclosure auction. So a foreclosure can still be filed under a trust. It's just a matter of if there's a monetary judgment remaining, who is liable for that. So trusts are excellent. They're great. It's a great way to protect your assets. They have so many different positive things. But at the end of the day, if there's a lien on that property, the courts will recognize the plaintiff and recognize their right to file a lawsuit to satisfy that lien.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. You also think about, back in the day, there was the loan modification type crowd that came out, and a lot of them were, taking money from homeowners and promising, to defend the foreclosure. What are some of your thoughts when it comes to defending a foreclosure lawsuit?
So one of the things that defending a foreclosure lawsuit, you can look at I like to say there's two trains. There's the legal train, and then there is the law, the money train. So
Okay.
in the legal train, you're looking for your affirmative defenses. You're looking for what did the lender do wrong. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. They don't have the original notes. They don't have standing. It's the wrong company bringing the lawsuit. So on the legal train, I like to say, what did the lender not do according to the promissory note, according to the terms and the conditions? But then you shift over to the money train. The money train is exactly what you talked about with the loan modification, reinstatement of the loan, and that whole era. They got paid more than attorneys. Let me just say that.
Right.
Some of those entities that could not represent you in court, they would take your information and be a in-between person between you and the lender, and they were making guarantees. I had one guy who I was representing got tricked and got food, and we had to go back and get the money. I'm like, that's what I do. Not all attorneys will work with you on the money train for loan modifications, but there are some. So if you do retain counsel, make sure you know what they will do and what they will not do in the defense of a foreclosure lawsuit. But those companies were very popular and they were very lucrative. And I said, I'm not charging enough.
Yeah, exactly, right. So, Carmika, when you think about the whole foreclosure space and, loan modifications, sometimes people, consumers, again, it's not their daily, their daily expertise. When you look at foreclosures, negotiating with the bank, working out these deals. We saw people get behind on payments when the pandemic hit, the, Chinese virus, as some say, when that hit, people were working out deals with their lender, but they didn't realize that after 6 months, they would need to make a balloon payment. In other words, all that money would be due at one time. In some cases, sometimes, I guess some lenders would wrap it to the end of the note. But what did you see in that space? Did you see some people getting caught in that kind of that catch-22 there?
I did. And here's the thing. You have to read and understand what the agreement is. Mm-hmm. And especially during 2020, 2021, when we had the government also allowing people to seek certain types of protection, where you talked about the forbearance, which is taking it and putting it to the end of the note. But not all lenders was obligated to follow the leading of the government because they were a private sector. So you have to understand what the agreement is, what you're allowed to do, and what you're not allowed to do. You have to call them up, have that conversation, because if you signed a second mortgage or something of that effect saying, I'm going to take 8 months, wrap it up, give you a second, or make it a balloon, then when that time comes and you can't pay, they're going to take you to court.
Right. So
a lot of people got mixed up because they did not understand what the terms really were, or they anticipated what their financial position would be, or they thought they can get another loan in 6 to 8 months to a year, which is what old investors got in trouble, because they would do these loans that would last for 3 years. We're hard money lenders, and then at that 3-year point, we're just going to refinance. And that, I think it was an adjustable interest rate, and they're like, I was paying so little, now I'm paying a lot, because the market changed, and you can't get that. You don't qualify for a refinance at that level.
Right, yeah, and a lot of things can change. The equity may not be there. There could be a lot of challenges, negative. There are some of these negative equity loans, negative amortization loans. Well, that's about our time, Carmika. Thank you so much. Yeah. Visit her online, rubinslaw.com, RUBINS law.com. Law offices of K.V. Rubin, PA, attorney Carmika Rubin. All right, hey, another great show. Justin Kelly was on the front half of the show. CPF mortgage, CPF loans, and, of course, attorney Carmika Rubin. Always a pleasure having her on the program as well. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. We'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Okay, guys.
Thanks, Carmico.
You